brightly.
Like last time, Chris, we are just, we've got kind of a couple of clients who just recently won Energy Star Awards, and uh, we just really want to understand how Energy Manager really helped that effort. We know that it's not the only tool and decision-making process that you all are using, but we know that it hopefully is a big part of that. So we've got a couple of questions kind of teed up, but just for your understanding, we've already got such a great case study that shows off Kenton County and y'all's successful program that we're really just going to probably use this conversation to update that with some of the recent progress, recent successes, and then obviously updating that y'all won Energy Star Awards in between 2018 and now. So that'll be kind of what we're setting out to do. So. So first off, I'm assuming your title is you are the energy manager for Kenton County Public Schools. Is that correct?
My official title is Energy Systems Coordinator.
Okay. And if you were to describe that in like a sentence or less, how would you describe your role to someone who's asking you about that? Like what does your role entail? Who do you report to? Where do you fall into the district as a whole?
I guess I would say I am part of the operations department, and I have the responsibility of monitoring and controlling energy costs.
Awesome. And that's your whole utility ecosystem. So not just electricity, but natural gas, water, all utilities.
Yes.
Awesome. And so the last time we spoke, Rob was on the call and you were on the call. Is there an energy team that sits underneath the operations department, or are you the one woman team?
We don't have a formal team, but I would say we do have a team because we all work together as far as the construction department and the maintenance department work in conjunction with me.
Awesome.
Also purchasing.
That's great. And so you would say you have a seat at the table for a lot of those.
I would say it's a collaborative effort.
Got it. Okay. And I know this might be getting a little bit ahead, but I know that when we spoke last, one of the things we so often hear from districts and education organizations in general is energy management is only successful if you have buy-in, not only from your team, your operations or facilities team, but also from teachers, staff, students. Is there any sort of like green team that you all have or still have? I know that was a part of energy management, was like a part of the curriculum, right?
Yes.
So is that?
We still have the EWISE program. I'm looking at the last case study, and this is in there. So we still have the EWISE program, which is student energy teams in every elementary and middle school. An update on this. So in not this school year, but the previous school year, which would have been school year 2020.
Yeah.
We updated that program and kind of followed EPA's Energy Stars treasure hunt program.
Yep.
And we took that program and tweaked it for students.
Nice.
And I could send you some pictures from our, we have a 1-day conference with the students, and I dressed up as a pirate and had the whole pirate theme, and a lot of the kids came dressed up with pirate garb. So I've got some pictures of that I can send you if you'd like.
Yeah, no, that would
I
be
definitely send those. That sounds great.
awesome. That would be so awesome. Anything that engages a reader, brings the words to life. Like that's always great.
Also, while we're talking about photos, if you have a headshot for yourself, that would be great to put with the success story. And then if you have any like facility shots that you happen to have of any of the schools that you could send over, that would be great. If you have it, great. If not,
Yeah, I've got plenty of facility.
that would be awesome. Just to bring the story to life. Thanks.
My pen just died.
And I'll document some notes, Chris. I'm sure you're writing something down, but I'll make sure to send a follow-up email with some of these requests.
Okay.
All right. All right. Sorry, I'm just typing. Can't think and type. All right. So last time we spoke, Chris, was probably beginning of 2018 or maybe even the middle. I don't exactly remember, but that was 3 years ago. And so just want to kind of get a take on been any notable energy projects that have happened, any retrofitting, building commissioning projects that you look back the past 3 years and point to and say, hey, man, that was a success energy management wise.
That's what I was looking at. Okay, we already had the performance contract in there.
And maybe a better way to ask this would be like, what did you point to? What did you and Rob point to in your Energy Star Award submission this year?
Let me pull that up. Yeah, because we did have some construction projects.
Some new builds or more renovations?
Renovations.
Okay.
So we're looking at the last 2 Energy Star submissions, correct?
Yeah, that would be great. And kind of while we're there, while we're talking about sending over stuff afterwards, we recently spoke with Des Moines Public Schools, and Tyler, the energy manager there, when we were asking him for like statistics or data, he said, I've got all this in the Energy Star submission. I could just send that to you.
Right. I'll just send you the last 2 years submissions. Got all of this in it.
That'd be great. And then we'll kind of use this conversation as a way to pull quotes and just to get some context around some of this stuff.
Let's see. Communication. Oh yeah, here's some pictures of the, okay.
And if we need to skip this question, we can circle back to it.
Oh, here's something new we started. This is 2020s. We started, and this we use the energy manager for the checklist portions of it. So we created checklists for all of our sports facilities. So that at the end of each sports season, the athletic directors give those shutdown checklists to the coaches so that they can shut down their portions of the building for the season for the rest of the year.
Nice.
And what I'll do is I'll send you the Word document of this, and you can pull these pictures right off the document.
Great.
It's
That's
got
awesome.
the treasure hunt pictures on there too.
Great.
Okay, so that was one for that year. Let me pull up last year's or this year's.
Yeah. That's got to get confusing this year, last year. Because this was technically school year 21, right? That y'all are probably just finishing.
Correct. So, yeah, and Energy Star dates theirs the year of the award ceremony, not the year that you're doing it for. So the years are
Yeah.
So when you look at these, they're labeled with a year, but they're actually the year before.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so the only construction we've had, and this is why I wasn't finding it, we haven't done any, we've been focused on a security project, a district-wide security project that's going to wrap up this year. So we haven't really done any facility upgrades pertaining to energy.
Yeah, that's fair. And is the security project around like cameras and
it's everything.
What?
It's cameras, secured entrances, security window film on vestibules, card access.
Awesome.
Fencing, lighting. I mean, there's been quite a bit, and it's at every school, so that's pretty much monopolized all of our time.
Yeah. And what role do you play in that project? Is there any sort of energy considerations?
In this project, I'm in charge of card access.
Okay.
Got which it. Has nothing to do with the energy side. So,
well, and that what we've heard from so many clients, Chris, is that, and maybe this was even before COVID, but in the midst of COVID, so many people had to wear hats that they didn't necessarily sign up for, and so I think that just speaks to, maybe that's not, you're a certified energy manager, but you're helping deal with card access because of it needs to be dealt with, and we've got a limited kind of team. So
right, and because of the massive scope of this project, I mean, we've never had district-wide card access. It's always been individual schools where we have it. So yeah, I've taken that on. Other people have taken on cameras, and it's just kind of spread the wealth, I guess.
Exactly. Well, kind of segueing into the theme of COVID, a couple of questions, and I can run back through these if I need to, but something that we've heard from clients is that shut down their district or facilities in the midst of COVID is, especially those clients who have IDR, that it really helped them validate and catch waste before it actually showed up on their bill. So example, if they were shutting down a facility or a district or a set of buildings, and they check their data the next day and it turns out it's not actually shut down, even though they overrode their BAS system. They
Correct.
Caught that before it appeared on their next bill. And without IDR, without that kind of real-time data, they wouldn't have caught that. And so I just want to get a take on, well, one, with COVID, how long did y'all shut down? Did you shut down at all? To what scale? But then two, I'm sure energy management had to be a huge consideration on shutting down your facilities and making sure you're in contact with the controls personnel. And so just want to get a take from you how Energy Manager helped some of those discussions and decisions.
Okay, it's pretty much, like you said, oh, and I am the controls person.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
my other hat. Yes, we shut down. What was that? Was that March that everything shut down? Yes, we shut down in March, but we still had teachers in the school for a short period of time until we sent them all home. So we did a partial shutdown to start with. And then once all the teachers went home, we shut down all the buildings except for administration offices.
Yep.
So yeah, and just like you said, by watching the interval data helped us find any anomalies that, you could tell something was still running that shouldn't be. And that with that real-time data, and we use it even more so to where our plant managers and head custodians at the school itself monitor that always. So they're the first line of defense to go in looking for that type of thing. And then if it's something they can't figure out, then they can contact me as the controls person or maintenance. So they're pretty much our first line of defense, but I also monitor it. I monitor it also along with them. So if they don't have time to check or if they miss something, then I catch it.
Yeah. So do they have access to Energy Manager's IDR dashboard?
Yes.
Like as a view only or something?
Yes, it's a view only, and they, except for checklists, and it's actually part of their responsibilities is to check their IDR data.
Got it.
And to complete checklists for shutdowns. That's all part of their job responsibilities.
Awesome.
And we do, I don't think I have this in here, but I can pull up, I have a report that we do at the end of the year that actually will show how many times, and we pull this out of Energy Manager, how many times they log on. So especially during a break, this doesn't relate so much to COVID. We didn't have time to get to this much in depth, but normally like a winter break or a spring break, we actually go in and run a report at the end after we come back that shows how many times somebody logged on and what their savings were. A lot of times there's a correlation. If they're not logging on, then they're not seeing the savings.
Yeah. That's so interesting because and I will, if you're interested, I will send this to you afterwards, but we recently, this ebook that we titled How 2020 Impacted Utilities and Energy. And one of the biggest thing we were looking at is our clients' data and savings that correlated. And one of the things we were interested in is based off how engaged a client is with the software, can you show that more savings would occur if they're highly engaged versus if they're like a low engaged client? And what we saw and what you might suspect is those clients who did engage with the software saw almost like a 60 to 70% savings higher than those who low engaged. And that's based off kilowatts per hour per day. Building per day.
Yeah. And I would say that's probably mostly related to controls and somebody's gone in and done an override, or you have something that's not working. And though, so you can have everything working perfectly this go around, but by the time you do your next shutdown or your next break, something else has gone awry in the meantime and things aren't shutting down like they would be. You wouldn't know that unless you're checking it.
Totally. Yeah. And it's the whole like correlation versus causation. We understand that just because you log on to Energy Manager doesn't mean you're going to save, but we're assuming that if you're in constant constant contact with your data and with your use, you're probably taking the actions that need to take place afterwards. So what you just spoke about, checking to see how engaged your building staff and custodial staff is with IDR data is like a useful analogy. So
back to COVID. So we came back in person, and I'd have to check these dates. I want to say in September.
Yeah.
We came back part-time on a, what do they call it, a hybrid schedule. And then we ended up closing back down in November. And then by January, by the time we came back from Christmas break, we were back in school, and we were pretty much, most of our students were in school full time by February. Now, COVID also, we had a lot of savings when all the kids were out of school, but once they came back, you know, we had a lot of losses because of air quality. We had a lot of focus on air quality, so we were increasing outdoor air minimums, and then doing a purge and flush for 2 hours before and 2 hours after every day. So that really added to our run times.
And was that all in alignment with what ASHRAE was recommending and the CDC?
Yes. So it was all in line with what the state of Kentucky and ASHRAE were recommending for COVID indoor air quality. So yeah, the numbers aren't going to look so good when we run them this year.
But such a worthwhile, I mean, such a worthwhile consideration. One of my colleagues here at Dude Solutions, we just recently did a webinar around how COVID should, like any learnings that we learned from COVID and how to apply those in the future. And one of our clients brought up the idea of how important indoor air quality should have been a long time ago, but now it's going to continue to stay important. And so just want to, how do you rationalize, like without the data, hypothetically without the data, how would you rationalize that those costs to your bosses? It seems like you wouldn't be able to if you didn't have the data and the importance of the indoor air quality kind of consideration.
Well, there's two factors to that, and to talk about money here in the state of Kentucky. A lot of our funding is based on average daily attendance. So if you have poor indoor air quality, it begs to say that you would have more absenteeism due to illnesses. So there's a balance there. By keeping a good indoor air quality, keeping the students healthy, helps our funding from the state. Now that does offset the energy costs to some point, because outdoor air is probably the #1 energy cost for the heating and air conditioning systems. But there's a balance, and we found that, and this has to be watched very methodically. We use both through Energy Manager and through our control systems, is not only is indoor air quality have to balance with energy costs, but you also have to balance with other ideas. When we did our policy, it was increase minimum outside air when weather factors allowed it. So being here in Kentucky, for instance, if it got down to the 10s, then we can't increase that minimum outside air because we're not designed for it. We wouldn't be able to keep the building warm. Same in the flip side, in the spring and the summer, we have a lot of issues with humidity here. So, you know, humidity and the cause, things that could be caused by humidity are more of an issue than, you know, minimum outside airflows for indoor air quality. So it's a balance. We, you know, trying to keep the humidity levels down, trying to keep the building comfortable, trying to keep as much outside air as you can, weather permitting.
That's all. Let's just get insight. Another question, just curious, kind of going off the script, but so with your HVAC units probably running more, whether that be longer term or maybe at a higher volume, how do you have the conversation with your CFO or anyone kind of doing the capital planning? Because I assume if you're running your HVAC unit at a higher volume for longer, that's going to reduce the useful asset life cycle. So how do you kind of rationalize this is a priority? We need to prioritize indoor air quality, but we also need to be planning to replace this asset sooner.
Right. We haven't necessarily had those kind of conversations, but we are in the process right now. In fact, the projects are going out to bid now. I'm not completely up to date on that, but we're in the process of doing renovations at multiple schools that include HVAC renovations.
Yeah.
Let me think. It's Pioneer, Whites Tower, Rhineland, Beech Grove, Hinsdale.
Related to those projects, are you all applying or able to get government funding for those?
That's something we're still pursuing.
Okay. Is any data from Energy Manager or our other products helping you do that?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, got it.
We didn't maintenance or facility construction didn't get any of the first 2 rounds of the ESSER funds. So we're working on the 3rd round. And that's conversations that we're still kind of having and haven't really gotten there yet.
Got it.
We had to cover all the educational expenses first. And so
Totally.
that maybe we'll be able to use this 3rd round for some of the facility expenses.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I'm crossing my fingers for y'all because I know we've heard both sides of the story of yes, we have gotten funding, or no, we haven't. Same story, prioritizing student learnings and ed tech and all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, just the cost of going 1-to-1 on
device
and
yeah.
PPE equipment and
Yeah.
all of that. Additional support personnel for students. So that ate up a lot of the first 2 rounds.
Yep. So switching gears, appreciate your context on COVID and how Energy Manager really helped there. But switching gears to the Energy Star Awards, I mean, this is the probably 20th award that y'all have gotten or something in the neighborhood of that. So again, congratulations. Seems like this is home for y'all. But when you think about your energy program, it's extremely robust. I've talked with a number of clients across the United States, and y'all's really carries the torch. So 1, congrats, but 2, how does Energy Manager really fit into your program? When you think about software, maintaining the data, the IDR portion, how do you think Energy Manager helps you as you go out and do this energy program and continue to iterate upon it?
Well, okay, so let me start with this. Our energy program is a 3-pronged approach. So we've got construction and renovation is 1 prong, education is another prong, and then energy management, day-to-day energy management at the building level is the 3rd, or energy conservation, I guess. Yep. Energy Manager helps us on all 3 of those. It supports each one. It supports the construction and renovation because it gives us the data. We can compare buildings with different types of systems and how they perform per square foot. And there is a real correlation to the type of HVAC system and the cost per square foot to run that school. So it helps us in making decisions for future renovations. It helps in our education programs because our students also have access to the IDR and the reporting functions. And they use that as part of their, now as part of their treasure hunts. They can go and pull the data that they're looking for. And then of course, it's the core of our energy conservation and energy management prong, to where, you know, all of our head custodians, all of our maintenance department have access to that and can make decisions based on that. You know, even on the control side, a lot of times I'll get calls and say, hey, have you seen anything strange of the energy consumption at this building for these few days? We're trying to track something down. So it helps us with troubleshooting, helps us with energy management, helps us with performance reviews.
Yep.
It's part of the performance reviews for custodial teams. So it's really integral in all of our energy management program.
Awesome. That's so great to hear. What are some goals that you have for the program itself, your energy management program, or just some goals for the district as a whole around energy management in the next maybe 6 to 12 months? You have any big projects you're looking at, or any big kind of steps forward that you want to take?
No, like I said, we're getting ready to do renovations in, I want to say 7 to 8 buildings, all at the same time. These major renovations. So that is our goal, is getting those renovations. Now, a lot of those renovations do include HVAC upgrades and additions, along with controls additions. So I guess we could put it this way: for the next 2 years, our goal is to increase our energy efficiency through our renovation and addition projects that we have going on.
When you take a proposal to your board or to your administration at the district, how does payback periods or energy savings, is that a crucial kind of proof point to saying yes or no to these project requests? Did that make sense?
Yes, it does when it comes to doing upgrades specifically for energy projects. Yeah, your return on investment and payback is a huge portion of that.
Yeah.
On the construction and renovation side, it's more of a life cycle analysis.
Yep.
So we look a lot at the life cycle cost as far as upfront construction versus long-term costs. But honestly, we've been at this, you know, for a while now, and with our architect and engineering team, we've gotten to where we can incorporate all these energy efficient features, but not raise the cost of our construction.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing a lot more of nowadays is you're not only, if you're going forward with a project and you're bringing the proposal forward, you're not only going to save cost on the maintenance side. We replace XYZ with something new, we're going to spend less on maintenance. That's an assumption. But you're also probably going to get a more efficient piece of equipment. You're going to get a more probably Energy Star certified piece of equipment that's also going to save you on the usage side. So it's kind of a win-win. And so I just wanted to see, it seems like that's kind of already built into y'all's decision-making DNA.
It has been for quite a while.
Yeah. So I've got a couple more questions, and just gonna see if start racking your brain if you have any more. But Chris, regarding something that we are continuing to hear more and more about is this topic of sustainability. Um, and we all know, like, sustainability is such a buzzword. It can mean 20,000 different things depending on who you're talking to. And so I'm sure a part of your role is probably around conservation, sustainability. But just want to get your take. Sustainability at Kenton County, how important is that? And how does Energy Manager really, how do you see that fit into your sustainability toolkit?
Let me put it this way. Energy Manager ensures the sustainability of our program. And I'll use sustainability in that term. Without someone being able to monitor what's going on, you can't sustain the energy savings that you're seeing at the time. You know, if there's no one at the helm, then the ship's going to run awry.
Yep.
And so that's really the key. Energy Manager's a core piece of that, of being able to keep the program sustainable throughout changes in personnel. So as head custodians or plant managers change over, then it's still a sustainable program, because we just continue to train and use that tool with all of our employees as it turns over, and continuing to use it allows us to sustain our energy savings.
That's awesome. So the piece of change management, and no matter, it's not to go as far as to say everyone's replaceable, but no matter who is kind of there, Energy Manager will kind of bring people up to speed. It's the constant foundation.
Yes, Energy Manager is the constant, and the key component to using Energy Manager as the constant is that it's very easy and user friendly to use.
Yeah.
And very easy to train new employees on.
Awesome. So last question from me, and then Grace, if you have any, I'm sure we asked this last time, but kind of 3 years into the future, what would you tell someone, kind of two-pronged question, what would you tell someone who's thinking about starting to really prioritize managing energy? What would be the pros that you would say to that person? Here's what's in it for you. But then two, what would you tell someone considering Energy Manager?
Say that again.
So we deal with a lot of organizations who maybe energy management is a nice to have. It seems like that's changing to more of a need to have. You need to manage your energy, not only because of conservation, sustainability, but also just the cost savings. And so I wanted to hear, if you were talking with a peer who's starting to build out an energy management program, what would you tell someone? Here's why it's so valuable to manage. But then the second part of that question is, what would you tell someone who's considering Energy Manager as a solution?
So we've got why energy management and why Energy Manager, basically.
Correct. Much more simple way to say that, yes.
So on the energy management side, main reasons to manage energy are, of course, avoidance of cost, and the savings that can be realized by managing your energy. Also, as you start to do energy management projects and improvements, you tend to improve the atmosphere and the comfortability in a building, whether it be through lighting, through HVAC, water enhancements. But again, it's not just the money, but it also improves the comfort in the building along with that. And then also including the students and the educational piece. Even if you're not a school district, you need to include an educational piece for your employees.
Yep.
Because no energy management program will work without buy-in, and education is key for that. As far as why Energy Manager gives you a very simple and easy to use tool to combine all of your energy management efforts. So you can track energy costs and usage. You can follow your IDR. You can create checklists. You can use it to track the progress on different types of energy management projects, and it's all located in one software that again is easy to use, and then also customizable to where you can give multiple people access to the data that they need access to.
That's awesome. That last piece, I'm just applaud, because that's such a cool way to build your conservation army, is giving your custodians access to the IDR data so that it's not just relying upon you. There are a ton of people who are bought in to managing energy. So awesome. Grace, do you have any final questions?
That was very well said, and I do not have any final questions.
Great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
congrats
Chris,
again on what all of you guys are doing. Exciting stuff.
yeah, it really is. It really is just so impressive. I hope you hear that from your team and from others, because it really is.
Yeah, we hear it a lot.
Just pat yourself on the back and keep going. That's what I like.
Keeps me going, yes.
Exactly. Well, Chris, it really was a pleasure talking to you this morning. I will send a follow-up email because I know that we said there are a couple of things we want to exchange.
Okay.
But just from here, Grace and I will put a few edits and update the existing case study. And once we get it to a spot where we feel it's good, we'll send it over to you for final review. And if you need to share that with Rob or with anyone else, feel free to do so.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there, finalize it and share it with you.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks so much. Hope you have a good Thursday.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.